Did you guys hear that Australian teenagers are asking the High Court to block a social media ban in Australia? This comes to us from Reuters, Sydney, November 26th. 2025, a constitutional challenge against Australia's social media ban on children younger than 16 has been filed in the nation's highest court 2 weeks before the world first law is set to take effect. This is massive and very important to cover, even if you're somewhere else like I am in the United States, because they say world first. And this is such a coordinated effort. UK is connected at the hip with Australia these days. The EU is basically in the same bucket, and North Korea and China are right with them too. I mean, there's really not too much of a difference between any of them these days when it comes to communism. Canada's in the same bucket, and Brazil's in the same bucket as them too. America's the only one, the USA is the only one that's really kind of standing up to this. Thank God Trump is president, because God only knows what it'd be like if there were someone else in office, the way the World Economic Forum is pushing things. A campaign group called the Digital Freedom Project said on Wednesday it launched proceedings in the High Court of Australia in a bid to block the law, with two 15-year-olds, Noah Jones and Macy Neyland, as plaintiffs in the case. You know what's funny about this, by the way? They'll be of age to be able to work around the law by the time that this lawsuit is over. More than 1 million accounts held by teenagers under 16 are set to be deactivated in Australia when the ban on platforms including YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, and Meta's Facebook and Instagram starts on December 10th. In a statement on Wednesday, the Digital Freedom Project said the ban robs young Australians of their freedom of political communication, an implied right in the Constitution. Australia does not have an express right to free speech. The legislation is grossly excessive, the statement said. Neyland said the law would ban young people from expressing their views online. Now, when I covered this previously, talking about what's happening in the EU and how it was also in Australia and how it's all coordinated all at the same time, I said, as a parent myself, I want my kids to have access to these. I want it to be made sure that it's moderated, in moderation, that they don't live on it and they're not addicted to it, but at least they understand it so they're able to communicate with other people, so that you don't bubble wrap them up and shove them out the door when they turn 18 and they have no idea how any technology works, how to interact with anybody, how to communicate in the digital age. You need to prepare them. So by these laws going into effect, it inherently prevents parents from being able to raise their kids in a more digital world, ever increasing. I think it's actually detrimental to the family by doing that. And more importantly, the kid. Young people like me are the voters of tomorrow. Wouldn't be silenced. It's like Orwell's book, 1984. And that scares me, she said. The Digital Freedom Project's president is John Ruddock, a member of the Libertarian Party in New South Wales State Parliament. After news of the legal challenge broke, Communications Minister Anika Wells told Parliament the center-left government, led by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, would not be intimidated by threats and legal challenges. Despite the fact we are receiving threats, oh my God, they're definitely on the left calling it threats, and legal challenges by people with ulterior motives, the freedoms, those are ulterior motives. The Albanese Labour government remains steadfastly on the side of parents and not platforms. Bullshit. If you're on the side of parents, you would let the parents parent the kids instead of being the parents for the parents, which is what you're doing here. Australian media has reported that YouTube also threatened to launch a high court challenge on the grounds the ban burdened political communication, which it absolutely does. And I would not be surprised. I don't know, this is a total guess. I would not be surprised if these two kids are being backed by Meta or Google or someone that's paying for their lawyer fees or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Governments and tech firms around the world are closely watching Australia's effort to implement the ban, one of the most comprehensive efforts to police minors' social media access. The ban was passed into law in November 2024 and is supported by the majority of Australians, according to the opinion polling, which, if you've ever paid attention to any polling on this channel that we talk about, those are never be believed. They are so jaded. They almost handpick the people that they want the answers from to try to skew public opinion and say, hey, everyone else wants this. Why don't you? What's wrong? Do you not understand what we're from the government? We're here to help. The government said research showed the overuse of social media was harming young teens, which, you know what? I actually don't disagree with that. I strongly feel like there is a problem and it needs to be addressed. I don't think banning social media is the answer. Very rarely do I think banning things are the answer. What I think is enabling parents to better parent, pay for better community outreach, understandings, education about the dangers of being addicted to things. Or if you actually want to be a good government, create some programs that encourage people to get the fuck out of their house and do things. I don't know, use the tax dollars to work with society and make it better, as opposed to everyone just being closed in their house all day, every day, because everything's too expensive to do anything else, which is the reality, by the way, including causing misinformation, enabling bullying, and harmful depictions of body image. Okay, so it's high school. Online. Gotcha. So what you're naming is the same exact things that they deal with at school, just online, except with online, you can actually just shut your computer off and walk away. When you're in school, you can't do that because you got to go to school every day. Oh my God. Companies that fail to comply with the ban could face penalties of, there we go. Now we're getting to the real reasons. $32 million in fines if they don't comply. And these are the teenagers that are bringing the suit. This is Sky News, Australia. Teenagers launched legal challenge over Australia's ban on social media for children. Two 15-year-olds, Noah Jones and Macy Neyland, are listed as plaintiffs in the legal challenge. It comes 2 weeks before the pioneering law stopping under 16s from accessing platforms like TikTok is set to take effect. So there they are. And damn, I got a feeling these two kids, I know nothing about them. They're going to be something when they grow up, to stand up and say, no. This is unconstitutional what you're doing to us. And this is an opportunity to take a stand. I'm actually surprised more kids haven't done this. It's such an opportunity to get noticed in society and be like, I'm standing up against this. This is unconstitutional in Australia. Two teenagers have launched a legal challenge over Australia's ban on social media for children younger than 16. Challenge comes 2 weeks before the law, a world first, is set to take effect, which, again, very scary because once one falls, the dominoes start to go. It is being organized by the Digital Freedom Project campaign group, which said on Wednesday it had launched proceedings in Australia's High Court in a bid to block the law. Two 15-year-olds, Noah Jones and Macy Neyland, are listed as the plaintiffs. More than 1 million accounts held by teenagers under 16 are set to be deactivated in Australia when the ban on platforms including YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram starts on 10th of December. Digital Freedom Project claims the ban robs young Australians of their freedoms of political communication, an implied right in the Constitution. Australia does not have an express right to free speech. I checked with ChatGPT just because when it comes to legal matters, I'm not a lawyer, nor do I pretend to be one. And I definitely am not a professional in law when it comes to Australia. I said, tell me about the two teens suing the Australia social media ban. It says, what's going on? The law, Online Social Amendment, Social Media Minimum Age, Act of 2024, requires social media platforms to block access for users under 16. And it goes through all the same stuff we talked about here. And the case seeks high court injunction, meaning the teens and their legal team want the ban delayed or blocked before it even takes effect on December 10th. The law, and to challenge it, could set a global precedent. Australia is the first country implementing a nationwide under 16 ban on social media accounts. And I said, what are the legal consequences and most likely legal outcome of this based on previous rulings in Australia? It goes through what the expectations are and previous cases and rulings. Most likely legal outcomes. Outcome. Court strikes down and validates the ban. Moderate likelihood. If the court finds the ban imposes a manifestly excessive burden on political communication compared with its protective aims, it could rule it unconstitutional, given some academic legal skepticism around a blanket under 16 prohibition. This is plausible. The court upholds the ban or leaves it mostly intact because child safety and protection is deemed a sufficiently important goal, and the ban reasonably tailored to that goal. Also viable, slightly more likely. Compromise, reading down the law, e.g., allow under 16s to access, but with strict safeguards or partial restrictions, age verified but limited access, content filters, parental consent, etc. Moderate to likely, given the high stakes and novelty. Court might look for a middle ground, preserving safety aims while mitigating free speech, communication burden. Temporary injunction or delay to enforcement until more evidence or safeguards are in place. Somewhat likely in the short run. Given the case is being filed shortly before the law takes effect, court might grant an interim stay or injunction, especially if plaintiffs show risk of irreparable harm, disconnecting many minors. I think that's going to be the most likely scenario to start it off. I'd be shocked if they don't do a temporary injunction and delay this. Now, I know Albanese is going to be like, no, no, no. This is all for the betterment of society. We need this to happen. It's so important. But once this injunction happens, hopefully one of these other things happen that just makes it fall apart and dissipate. My assessment of what's most likely, given the track record of the high court and the nature of the jurisprudence, and factoring in the widely recognized goal of protecting children, I expect a compromise outcome. In other words, the court will likely not simply toss out the ban wholesale, at least initially, but might read down the legislation, push for a narrower, more proportionate restrictions rather than blanket deactivation. It's possible the court grants a temporary stay or injunction to allow time for better regulatory design or evidence gathering, and over time, the law may evolve or be struck down partially, depending on how enforcement, safety data, and age verification mechanisms perform. I'm telling you guys, it sounds like the way Australia has been going and who's in charge there, and depending on the legal system with the judges in place, that they are going to likely lean towards enacting this law, but not without overcoming some massive hurdles to get there. But I think it does speak volumes that in the face of political messaging and pushing people to lose their freedoms, we have kids being the ones standing up to the adults saying, no, fuck you. We're not doing this. This is not the world we want for our future and for our kids and our kids' kids. No, 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 no. Get your shit out of here. Give us the freedoms we deserve as citizens of this country. We'll see what happens with that, but I thought this was wild. Shout out to these two, and I will let you guys know if I hear anything about this in the future. I'm sure that there will be more information. But for now, I'll leave that there.